Hello and welcome to the Jim Kleiber Show. Today, Friday, November 6th, 2020. The sun is shining. It feels like spring, but it's fall and winter is coming. Hopefully, winter is coming. We're in the northern part of the northern hemisphere. It's nice to have the change in seasons. It says that the earth is still doing its thing. We still wait for the election results here in the U.S. Biden has now taken a lead in Pennsylvania and Georgia and is leading in Arizona and Nevada as well. He just needs, if he wins Pennsylvania, he just needs that one state. But if he doesn't win Pennsylvania, he needs two of the remaining states. Alaska and North Carolina still aren't decided, but he's not winning in those and may not win either. So just waiting. Apparently, Trump has to win most of those to continue. A lot of attacks that are coming on the electoral process, and yet I am very proud and excited to say that it seems that we do elections quite well in this country, despite all the challenges we've had this year with the pandemic and many other things. Just that we seem to have done well with the elections. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, there's no claims with actual evidence and strong support, and we'll go forward with a free and fair election, as they like to say. I don't know about you, but how wrapped up have you been in politics in the last couple of days? Okay, I'm not going to pay attention to it. Oh, but what's happening? Who's winning the game? What's the score? This constant checking of the score to see who updated and who scored some points and who lost some points and what's going on. It can add to so much anxiety in our lives. This constant need to know what's happening with these external, third-party, distant figures. Oh my gosh, what's happening in the politics, in news, in sports, with celebrities? Oh my gosh, what's happening in their life? Why do we need to know so much what's happening with somebody we've never met? Politics maybe a little more so because it can more directly impact our lives. But what's the drive? What's the need to pay attention to some of these other people? Maybe it's the fear of paying attention to ourselves. Ooh, that's a big one. It's much easier to get distracted with the other stuff than to really dive into what we're going through. And maybe it's a belief that or desire to help other people more than it is to help ourselves. I've noticed this in myself that if I'll go out for a run or exercise, especially over this pandemic, I have felt really guilty. Why am I exercising? There are people who are struggling, that are struggling financially, that people who are struggling with the pandemic, medically, in the hospitals, in the streets, all around the world. Why am I out exercising? There's more I could do for the world, this kind of save the world mentality or myth. And I think so many of us have this wanting to help somebody else more than helping ourselves. And I think that's where a lot of the selfishness comes in. Kind of this concept of someone being selfish is that we spend so much time and attention on other people that our body screams at us to do things for ourselves. So we do things for ourselves in very indirect, sly ways and don't even realize it. So we can often coerce other people to do what our body needs because we're putting so much attention on them, trying to help them, that we need somebody to put attention on us. And sometimes we try to trick that other person unknowingly to pay attention to us. Whereas if we just pay attention to us, we don't need it as much. But then therein lies the rub, right? The trick of paying attention to us. Like I said earlier, I think sometimes we can feel guilty that we're not doing enough for other people. And I think there's a lot of cultural pressure as well to do more for others. Do more for others. If you do more for others, then you'll be happier, you'll be healthier, you'll be et cetera, et cetera. I've seen this bias through and through. I remember I went to a conference on compassion. It was like a competition, ironically, for technology that helps with compassion. And so I went to this conference, and almost everybody was talking about compassion for others. whereas I was talking about compassion for oneself. And it just felt, I don't know, like our culture pushes people into doing things for others more than taking care of ourselves. And then I went to another conference that was about empathy and technology and empathy. And again, so many people were talking about empathy for other people, whereas I was talking about self-empathy. And it just seemed like my message wasn't heard. And I think over the years, like I've been fighting to try to still believe in the message. I think I have a natural tendency, like many people, to pay attention to others more than I do to myself. And sometimes it means we just ourselves get out of control. We ignore our bodies, we ignore our health, we ignore our dreams, we ignore our fears. And we try to pay attention to what other people are thinking or doing or feeling. Somebody says something and we get angry at how they're speaking, and we want to change how they're speaking and change what they're believing of the world, instead of just loving them for who they are and paying attention to who we are and changing how we believe and, you know, what we believe and how we see the world and how we're feeling. Gosh, that guilt. The guilt. I don't know. Do you feel the guilt sometimes of doing something that you actually want to do and then feel guilty that you're being selfish, quote unquote selfish, as we often blame people for being, oh, you're self-centered, you're selfish, like this very a negative thing. But I think it's funny about that is that it comes from, I think, not paying attention to oneself and kind of forcing the other people to give us the things that we need, you know? So someone who is acting selfishly, I wouldn't say is knowing how they're feeling and knowing what they want so much. It's doing things to get what they want or to attend to their emotions without realizing it. This kind of automatic, kind of unaware behavior. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if you would agree. Let's see if I can come up with an example. Maybe not. Sometimes the examples just don't flow. But I first started working on iFeelio. My friend said, oh, it's a selfish app. I got annoyed. I got quite angry, actually, because I think selfish is such a negative concept in American culture, in many parts of American culture, in Midwestern Michigan culture, that I was like, oh, I'm not being selfish. I'm not being selfish. It's not about being selfish. Because again, I think there's a difference between being self-attentive and selfish, if that makes sense. Or some other word for self-attentive or self-caring or self-loving than selfish. I talked a lot, somebody asked me about, so Andrew Yang, former presidential candidate for the Democratic Party, said something like, this election shows that there are 68 million people that we need to understand. And some people were quite frustrated, and my friend posted that some people were quite frustrated with it. And I said, listen, like, for me, it says there's an opportunity for us to come together and hear each other a little better, say what we're feeling more and hear what they're feeling. And I think on that side, we haven't done a very good job in many ways. There's been strong divides on both sides, and someone has to step up and start the relationship. And somebody asked me if that made any sense. And I said, well, the challenge is twofold. One, people, sometimes in relationships we can get stuck and we get into a fight with somebody and then we expect the other person to apologize. But the problem is they expect us to apologize first. And we get stuck in this waiting for the other person to apologize, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And one way to break that is for one person to open up and apologize first. And then the other person's likely to respond in kind. That was the main question. Do you think that they will respond in kind? I said they're likely to if we start. But if we don't start and we're expecting them to start, then they're expecting us to start. And we get stuck in this rut. But I think the one that's more relevant to this conversation is the second point where I said, even if they don't respond in kind, me doing this makes me feel better. If I believe that they're racist and that they're homophobic and that they're sexist and that they're classist, that they're this, that they're that, that they hate me, that they don't like the people in my life and they don't want them to exist, I feel miserable. And so one of the best things I can do for me is to start to understand or imagine how they might be feeling. If I see them as a person who is racist, I might feel very angry towards them. If I see them as a person who is feeling terrified that they're going to lose their house, or feeling deep, repressed kind of grief, sadness, like this deep burrow of sadness because they lost a loved one to suicide or overdose or to the pandemic, then I see them differently. And I feel differently. I don't feel so angry. I feel a bit sad, maybe caring and compassionate. I feel less lonely. I think a lot of loneliness can come from thinking that the world's against us, so the world doesn't care about us. And I found one of the fastest ways to break through that is to just imagine how the other person might be feeling. Even if I think that they're angry, this person might be feeling really angry, they might be feeling furious. Even then, I feel a lot more connected to them as a human being, as a fellow human being, than thinking that they're this evil monster that's trying to destroy me or the people I care about. I've tried for the last few years, actually, to spin a lot of the work that I do in a way that, again, I would say is like step 1 is about me, step 2 is about you, and step 3 is about us or we. I think I've tried to spin a lot of the work over the last couple of years into focusing on step 2. How does it help other people? A lot of people who are leaders or business people or just basically humans interacting in a group. Again, I think we can care much more in step 2 than we do in step 1, pay much more attention to other people than we do to ourselves. And so I think sometimes marketing towards that group gets more attention. But you know what? I failed, and in some ways, it just something doesn't sit right with me. I feel a lot more comfortable when I say, listen, if you're a leader, I don't know if this is going to help your organization get stronger. I don't know if this is going to help your employees be more productive. I don't know if this is going to help improve trust in your organization. What I feel pretty confident about is it's going to help you feel better, help you feel more open, more free, more process the emotions, go through all the emotions, the sadness, the anger, the confusion, the excitement, the joy, the gratitude, all these different emotions. And I don't know how it's going to impact other people, but it may impact them well. Who knows? But at the end of the day, if you think about relationships that we have in life, the relationship that we have the most is with ourselves. We spend the most time with ourselves compared to anyone else. Whether we want to or not, there's really no escaping ourselves. Perhaps certain types of drugs can get us to escape. And video games, and there are the distractions that pull our attention away from ourselves, but we're still with ourselves, whether we want to be or not. I don't know if that makes sense. Our body doesn't leave us, our mind doesn't really leave us. So yeah, it's just, I think spending more time, more energy, paying attention to our own selves actually can, here you go again, trying to show you how it can influence other people. It can influence other people. But even if it doesn't, at the end of the day, we got to deal with ourselves, right? No matter what happens in the news, no matter what new laws or rules are put in place, no matter what happens in relationships or work or business or pleasure and hobbies and things like this, we're still with ourselves. That's why I'm curious to learn more about Nelson Mandela and how he got locked in prison. And he was in prison for something like 28 years, I believe. And just how he cultivated a relationship with himself, or one might say with God or spiritual being above, or with the universe, But this idea of kind of going deeper in with ourselves and connecting to the greater whole. I think so often the conflict that we have with others stems from conflict that we have with ourselves, this internal conflict of not knowing what we want, who we want to be, what we want to do, how we feel, what we believe. So much conflict on the inside that I think we can project and blame others for. So I think there is a lot of benefit to just prioritizing that relationship, and treating ourselves and having self-love. I was telling somebody else that, with so little contact with other humans, in 2020, this is kind of the year of self-love, like having better relationships with ourselves. And I can tell you, in saying that, I sure have not this year. I've spent a lot of time glued to the news, glued to the news of politics, to the news of COVID-19, to the news of friends, getting themselves into trouble or having really bad things happen to them and their friends and family. Just chatting with people, really just being out there, watching TV. Like, I've spent a lot of time not paying attention to myself, ironically, right? I'm not sure if it's the same for you. Maybe you've had more of a reflective disconnecting from media, and like not disconnecting from media, paying more attention to yourself, shifting the attention to yourself and shifting it away from media. But I'm sure many of you haven't. I'm sure many of you are in the same boat that I am, where we've been wrapped up in the urgency or the stress of what's happening in the world around us, and in a way feeling very helpless that we can't do much to influence that. Stuck in the house, or stuck in an apartment, or stuck, just feeling confined and feeling not able to go out and change the world as we wish we could, or help people. I mean, changing the world is really about helping others that need help. But I think, again, in that focus on others, we can forget about the help that we need. Yeah. Like, we could forget that maybe we haven't been exercising as much, or we've been eating too much, or we've been eating too little, or we've been exercising too much, or we have been spending too much money on online shopping, or we haven't been receiving money because we lost our job, or we, just doing things out of habit that are causing problems for us internally, and just ignoring them. Just ignoring them, thinking that how others are feeling is more important than how we are feeling. Wow, isn't that a big one? Prioritizing the emotions of other people over the emotions of what we're feeling. Man, I can't tell you how many people I've asked, what do you want? They're like, oh, I don't know. What do you want? I'm like, like, I want what you want. Oh, I hate that answer. I want what you want. It's like, always? Do you always want what I want? Don't you know what you want? Can't you just say what you think you want? But it's a hard question, and it's not a question we answer very often. I was thinking about the other day that I honestly think one of the most important questions in the world is asking ourselves, how do I feel right now? It seems so simple. How do I feel right now? Okay, I feel a little sweaty. I feel a little self-aware of my posture. I feel a little stuck for words, a little hesitant, not sure what to say. I feel a little tired. I feel a little thirsty. I feel my throat a little raspy. I've been speaking for 21 minutes straight. I didn't have enough water this morning. I feel grateful for the weekend. I feel a sense of relief and a sense of hope that, maybe Trump won't be president anymore. I feel a little more grounded, a little more relaxed. Yeah. So little things like, like that, answering that question. I've been practicing this for years, and it's still hard. It's still a guess and an estimate. So I think it's something that can really help us. Answering that question can help us answer, what do I want? Oh, I want to go drink some water. Why? Because I said, I'm feeling thirsty. I'm feeling a little parched. My throat's a little sore, Oh, okay. I'm feeling a little tired. Oh, what does that mean I want? Oh, it means I probably want to take a nap or relax. Oh, okay. Or slow down. Sometimes I feel tired because I'm actually moving too fast. Aha. What else? Oh, I'm feeling a sense of relief. Oh, that means I don't have to pay attention. I don't want to pay attention to politics so much for the next couple days. I just want to relax and soak it in. Who knows? Just like, so I think asking ourselves that question, how do we feel, or how do I feel, can help us answer the question, what do I want? Or what do I believe? Right? So if somebody says something on TV and I feel kind of skeptical and suspicious, then maybe I don't believe that. Right? So if somebody comes on and says, oh, the politics are, the people are rigging the election, they're stealing the election, it's like, and then they don't show me any evidence, I can feel my body go, are you sure? Like I can feel this skepticism or the suspicious flavor in the body, and I go, I don't think I believe that. It doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's true or false. Just, again, going into what do I personally believe? How do I see the world? So yeah, it can help us answer what do I want. It can help us answer what do I believe. It can help us answer so many questions related to that, really. And then I think one of the second most important question we can ask and get better at answering is, how do I imagine this person might be feeling right now? Or just this person might be feeling. Because again, I think it can help us get into, what does this other person want? What does this other person believe? What does this other person, what is this other person going to say, or might they say? Or what might they do? So if I imagine some person is feeling very angry when they think about the election results, perhaps they believe that the certain people in government are trying to hurt them. Again, not whether it's true or false, but whether they believe it. And so paying attention to the emotions can really help me figure out what they might believe. If they seem really, again, tired, perhaps they might sleep. They might go to sleep. So I can start to predict what some of their behaviors might be. Or if they're seeming tired, then they may feel angry afterwards, and then they may shout at me. So I can try to predict, okay, they're tired. Maybe they're going to feel angry if I say something that pushes them, because they might feel frustrated, and then they may shout. And so it can also help me in predicting other people's behaviors. I think these questions are so simple, again, but so almost fundamental, that if we can get better at answering them, first asking and then answering these questions, we can really change how we interact with ourselves and with other people. So just simply looking at politics right now, because I think it's a very strong topic that's going on in the US, but also overseas. Many elections, but also a lot of attention on the US election. Asking ourselves, how do we feel when we hear these things? Okay, so Trump gives a speech where he says he's not going to concede. How do I feel? I feel annoyed. I feel frustrated. I feel disappointed. I feel sad. Other people, when they ask the question, they may feel excited, proud, strong, angry, very angry. Who knows? And again, it can inform and help us better understand what we're believing and what we're thinking about the world. When I look at some of the people on CNN or some of the news channels that are reporting the updates on the votes, the vote counts, how do I feel? I feel impressed, proud, I feel impressed that they're able to do that much. So another trick is to say the emotion, but then add like why, like a quick sentence. I feel impressed that they're able to go 3 or 4 days straight just talking about numbers and doing it live on television, and look pretty healthy and awake and alert, and not stumble over their words. I feel proud that in the US we have such a process where it looks like it's quite honest and quite fair, and that a lot of people look like they're trying their best to pay attention to the process. I feel excited when somebody like a Secretary of State comes on TV and talks about the process, and they seem to be so obsessed with the process. I love it. I just feel so giddy in a way that the people who are running the election process really care about the process. Like they really, really seem to care about the process. I feel grateful when somebody attacks them and says, "Oh, it's rigged," and they stand up and they stand strong for what the process has been. Now, other people may feel differently, but in that quick reflection right there, I've started to understand myself a little better and had a better relationship with myself. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some of this stuff won't help you at all. Again, coming back to the original point, these are things that have helped me, and do help me when I remember to do them and when I prioritize doing them. And I don't know if it'll help you. And one of the things I'm trying to get better at, and I think, anyways, one thing I'm trying to get better at is to let go of whether it helps you or not. And if it helps me, do it. And it's not to not care about you, it's to also care about myself and to prioritize caring about myself over caring about everyone else. Because there are a lot of other people in the world. And to try to care about everyone and to do so equally or more than I care about myself, it can be really tiresome. It can really burn me out. So anyways, I hope that this talk piqued some of your interest and may have made you feel excited or confused. Not confused. I don't want you to feel confused so much. But if you did, you did. But I hope it helped you feel a little more relaxed or clear about some things that are happening in your life and how to interact with yourself as well. That being said, I am feeling tired. I'm grateful for the weekend to be here. I'm grateful to not to have a little break from doing these shows so I can pay attention to other things this weekend. And I'm grateful for the sun to be out and it to be 70 degrees for the next couple of days. Want to go appreciate that and soak in the fall, the crisp leaves as they rustle on the grass and or in the wind. Can't really rustle on the grass, but anyways. All right, y'all. Hope you have a good one, and talk to you Monday. Take care, y'all. Woo-hoo.